Thanks very much, Mark. That was really good. I liked especially the civil partnership end of it. It's not even cohabitation, it's full civil partnership. It's a huge honour to be asked here today to say a few words on behalf of GLEN at this launch by the Chief Justice, the Honourable Mrs. Justice Susan Denham, of these two publications, Know Your Rights and Civil Partnership, a Guide for Practitioners. And it's also fantastic to be in this historic venue. It's a wonderful and historic building to have our launches here today. Both the guides have been written by Fergus of DIT, and indeed he is a board member of GLEN, where he makes a massive contribution to the work of the organisation. So I'd like to thank Fergus for all his detailed work and commitment on these and in other areas. I think the two publications are hugely complementary. The Guide for Practitioners is just that, detailed, rigorous advice for experts, for lawyers, and the other one then is for members of the public, as Mark has said, to inform them of their rights so that they can vindicate those rights. So I'd like to thank the ICCL, especially for asking us to be involved in the Know Your Rights publication. And our work with the ICCL goes back to 1990 about, I think, when both organisations were involved in the groundbreaking report, Equality Now for Lesbians and Gay Men, which successfully made the detailed legal case for the great law reforms that have been achieved since then, including decriminalisation, human rights legislation, and so on. And I'd particularly like to mention Tom Cooney, who was chairperson of the ICCL at that particular time, and he really drove that publication. He chaired the working group. ICCL had very few resources at that time. It was going through a difficult period, and he prioritised that. When lesbian and gay people in Ireland didn't have so many friends. So I'd just particularly like to mark that role of the ICCL going back as far as then, and also the particular role of Tom Cooney. The Civil Partnership Act has been a great success in a number of ways. Firstly, as Mark has remarked on, it was enacted with the enthusiastic support of all political parties. Secondly, it has been enthusiastically adopted by lesbian and gay couples, and since April 2011, when the first civil partnerships could legally be held, there are huge numbers of those that have been celebrated throughout the country, in every single county in Ireland, and soon we will be approaching the 1,000th civil partnership that will be celebrated here. And as has been remarked, there are huge rights and responsibilities that flow from couples engaging, taking on that legal commitment of civil partnerships. And I think the civil partnerships have also been a huge success in the way that they have been enthusiastically adopted and welcomed by the wider society. In terms, I don't know if you've gone to a civil partnership celebration. It basically turns out to be a wedding. There's the music, there's the dinner, there's the speeches, there's the dances, there's the teary-eyed moments, there's the kids running around, and immediately, I think it's a new legal procedure, but the Irish people just quickly took it to their hearts and said, this is a wedding, and we're not going to try and evolve any other kind of celebrations or whatever. And I think in that sense that the way that when you're a campaigner, sometimes you get caught up in the law and you forget its social impacts. And that wonderful sense of bringing people together, that's what it does, the civil partnership celebrations do throughout the country, 2 a week roughly. And it's influencing society. And Mary Robinson, when she was a senator in 1987, remarked on that thing about the powerful social impacts of law. And she said that law is a hidden infrastructure which conditions our society and pervades almost every aspect of our lives. And I think that the Civil Partnership Act is a very good example of that. We've come a long way as lesbians and gay men in this country has been remarked. We got decriminalisation late in the day in 1990. 1993 on the basis of equality with heterosexuals. Subsequently, powerful equality legislation was introduced that included lesbian and gay men and other groups who are vulnerable to discrimination. And now, civil partnership. And it's interesting, I suppose, because the decriminalisation was the removal of criminalisation. Equality legislation, even though it's about promoting equality, is actually primarily about preventing discrimination. So what we have for the first time with civil partnership is the giving of positive rights and responsibilities to lesbians and gay men. Coming to a conclusion that gay people, lesbians and gay men, our politicians and our society in general brought about this great legislative agenda and legislative change. And this legislation is in turn transforming the lives and opportunities for gay people in Ireland and leading to greater changes in the wider society. And in a sense, I think this welcome here tonight in the home of the Supreme Court is a symbol of that. So to conclude, thanks to everybody who had a part in the preparation of this brilliant publication, to Brian Sheehan and the other people in GLEN, to the ICCL, to NALA, and to anybody else who had a role in its publication, because I think it's really fantastic. So that's it. Thanks very much. And I would now like you to give a very warm welcome from Mrs. Justice Susan Denham.